Now that's significant. The Market Research Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Now That's Significant. I am John Bird, and joining me today is Jessica Sage, who is from Wire. And for those of you that have been under a rock for 18 years, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Jessica is going to give us a little bit of a background on women in research.
So we're a nonprofit, and like you said, we've been around for 18 years. Our mission's always been to advance the contributions and voice of women in research, both for themselves and for the greater good of the industry. We believe strongly in the positive impact of diversity in business, and we've seen it in practice and then also in the data we have behind that. And we just keep a close eye on what women in our industry need when it comes to professional support and provide those resources when we can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always been a huge supporter of Wire, and I always think like our industry is very like kind of skews towards women. Do you know the number, like percentage of women in market research off the top of your head?
Yeah, I've seen a few numbers. It does look like it's in the 60 percentile. It's just when you get to those leadership pages
Senior
that it gets a
levels,
little
yeah.
bit more scant. Yeah.
Yeah. So any like fun plans? It's crazy we're talking about 2028, or 2026. Any fun plans for next year?
Yeah, so our educational networking events, that's usually how people find out about us. We do those in about 45 cities globally. It'll be more like 50 next year. And those are fun. There's educational component, and then there's also networking opportunities. So we'll have a number of those coming up. If you want to know about those, we tend to promote those on a 30-day out schedule. So joining our mailing list is the best way to find out about an event that's happening locally to you. And then we'll, of course, be at a lot of industry conferences. So you'll probably see us at the QRCA annual conference. We'll be at some of the Quirks events at IAX North America, SMR Congress, all that good stuff.
And I was just kind of doing my daily surfing of LinkedIn. I saw something posted about mentorship. Is it too late to get into being a mentor or mentee, or where is that program?
Depending on when this episode comes out, the application for the mentorship program does close on December 1st. And that's just because we are rare in that we match our mentors and our mentees for a full year. So in 2026, you'll be matched with a mentor that you'll have for the full year. We do match people locally, and then we can also match people remotely. So if you're not in a bigger city, there's a really big chance we can still find a mentor for you. But for mentors, which we're always looking for, we have a ton of mentee applications and don't always have enough mentors. That's something that you can reach out about any time in the year, and we'll make sure that you're on an outreach list for the next time that we have a program open.
That's perfect. That's right around the corner, but I'm sure it's an important program. When you look at look over the past 18 years, and I don't know if you've been working on this for 18 years, but can you think of a program that Wire has come up that's had the biggest positive impact on, say, market research and women in general?
That's so hard because it's like I have great anecdotal stories for all of our programs. I do think, the networking events, especially if you're someone maybe who works in a brand and you work in a smaller department, you might be the only woman that performs a market research function. So being able to go to an event where you meet peers is really rare. The Wire Exec Summits are incredible. So that's our executive group for women leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, and then also for rising C-track superstars. So women that are sort of on that track to become leaders. Those events are just out of this world. We do those in the US and in Europe. We actually have a US one coming up in May. It'll be outside of Los Angeles. But that's like, I kind of call it adult summer camp. It's like a full week of women hanging out and getting to know each other. But we have a ton of incredible professional content, really great speakers. And then just, again, it's that opportunity to sort of be in the same room with people that have walked your path before, that have had similar experiences that you just don't get, in your day to day.
So is that targeted towards senior leaders already that are women, or is it targeted towards everybody that's female?
A little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, I think there's certainly more women that are in a leadership role. That's Wire Exec is for, women that are at the executive level traditionally. But that C-track program is for women that are sort of mid-level, working their way towards the C-track.
Right.
So, a lot of times what you'll see is women who, go to the event and don't totally know what their career path is. And then they get to hear from 40 other women that have done this before, and they get really inspired to start their own business or work their way towards leadership. So there's really kind of a space for a lot of different people to fit into that program.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's because I think it's like the only program. I mean, everybody talks about Wire like it's only for women, and I go to the events as much as I can. I think that event is like only for women, but all the other events are open. I mean, it's kind of centered around women in research, hence the name. But it's also open to other folks, right? Like the guys, the guys that are going to donate to Wire for all their participation in events.
We did actually have our first man attend a summit last year. So it is, we try to keep our programming open to people of all genders because we know that this conversation doesn't happen in a vacuum. We love our male allies who have been super supporters of us forever and ever. And obviously there's a really great space for women to have conversations in women-only spaces, but we do think it's important for men to be a part of those conversations when they can.
Perfect. Well, I'm about out of questions. So what else should we talk about? Anything I forgot to ask you?
Yeah, I can talk about, so we literally just launched a new program that I would like to chat a little bit about, but we, in I think 2018, started this program called Wire Accelerate. We wanted to be able to offer the kind of professional development learning that you might get at an event or get at a conference in something that was really accessible. So that program started as sort of these, looking at our executive women and having them ask themselves, what do I wish I had known when I first started out in my career, or when I was sort of taking this path towards leadership? And they came up with educational content on those topics. And then we recently just launched Finance Foundations, which is similarly at your own pace, fully remote online, but it's all content that's geared towards professional and personal finance. So women do generally have a gap when it comes to financial literacy, and that does really threaten women's experience on their way to leadership. So this is sort of meant to be something that can really easily bridge the gap. It's something that companies can plug their employees into. It's also another thing that's open to people of all genders. It's just that we're going to be mindful of the information that women may not have as much access to when we're creating programs like that.
That's really interesting. Because in my early days, I was at Pepsi, and they had finance for non-financial people, which was really good because, I mean, I took a handful of classes on finance, but it wasn't really my strength, so I got out of that. But I think it's definitely a benefit. How do you come up with ideas for new classes to support women in research?
Crazy story. We do research. We couldn't do anything we do.
It's not too expensive.
Well, yeah. I mean, also, we have a board full of researchers. Like, we just couldn't make decisions if they weren't data-driven decisions based on who we are. But we do an annual community survey every year, so that's a really big help. That will actually open in the next couple of weeks. If you see something about that and you can do the survey, please do the survey so that we can make resources for you. But that gives us a lot of fodder for content. And then we do surveying throughout the year. So after we have an event, we want to make sure that people who are attending the event, we're getting feedback on what they liked or didn't like, or what they still need, what gaps they're seeing in their local markets as far as resources go. So we're kind of taking the pulse of the industry throughout the year quite a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on our show, and it'll be interesting to see how this is cut up. I know that Marie wanted me to mention that on Tuesday, InfoTools is supporting all donations that go towards Wired. So keep an eye out. I'm sure we'll be posting something on LinkedIn. So if you see that, especially to all the guys out there, I think it's time for us to jump in and make contributions, and InfoTools will personally match those donations. With that, thank you again.